Welcome into the Blitz Studios. I am here with Mr. Zack Moore, NFL agent. You just got done with the SNWW Sports Conference. How was it, man?
It was great. It was a great experience to get to come back for a second straight year, sit on a panel with Joel Corey, who is really, the most knowledgeable. Him and, I don't want to put one in front of the other, him and Jason Fitzgerald are the two most knowledgeable people in that space, salary caps, contracts, stuff like that, people I can go to for advice, and to be able to be on a panel with someone like that and speak in front of a room of like 400 people, which was cool. Just like really cool experience and opportunity to put myself in that kind of position, which is really fun.
So as the author of Capinomics, a book that deep dives into basically not only the language and the structure of it, of the salary cap for the NFL, but also you break down, the best parts and exactly how to build a dynasty in terms of the Patriots. So you're the perfect person for us to talk about this new CBA that's going into effect, or that's being proposed, I should say. I think it's going to be a wide and easy consensus no on the players' behalf. But break down some of the aspects of that for me as to what are the reasonings behind why they're going to say no. I mean, we hear about this $250,000 cap at Week 17. What else is there that's wrong about this CBA?
That cap, the Week 17 cap is done. So that's right. The 200. Did you say 250K?
Yeah, 250K.
Yeah, that one's done but I was just having this conversation with someone on the way down here, down the stairs from the SNWW thing. Was like that alone kind of tells you the lack of good faith that the NFL owners negotiate from. Like, for their position is a lack of good faith negotiation position. Like, that's who they are. That's who they've always been. That's how the current CBA was kind of negotiated, was under the premise that there was no CTE. There was none of that stuff in the last CBA, right? Yeah. And then the owners were like, "Oh, we're poor. The economic downturn just happened," and then they've spent this CBA making $10 to $30 million per year, while the valuation of their companies has shot through the roof. And you look at the Jaguars. The Jaguars have won under 30% of games, at least between 2012 and 2018, which is the period where the Khan family has owned the Jaguars. They've been horrible, yet they have increased their valuation as a company by $850 million. And I read this book called Soccernomics. It's a book about the economics of soccer. And because soccer has such an open market in so many different leagues, it's a completely different economic reality, because the players can go anywhere, so they get a larger sum of the share than most any other sports, right? Because of that competition, right? Okay. And the owners in that sport understand that, and for a long time, a lot of the owners weren't making any money. So, they understood that the valuation and the increased valuation of their company was what they got out of it. And the business that they got for all their other businesses was part of what they got out of it, too. So the owners in the NFL want to make all the money on the profit side, and then they want to have something that continues to increase in valuation. I understand when you buy an organization that, of course, that's what you want. You want to make the most money. But, the NFLPA doesn't really do a good enough job of really communicating to the public why they should almost, if it needs to be done, why the public should be like, let's get a lockout, whatever. The players aren't getting compensated well enough. And from that point of that, the angle the NFL negotiates from, they think that they've bought the votes with that $100,000 increase in league minimum spending, which is going to bring up the value of all the people that are on the rookie contracts and below. And in doing so, hopefully by the votes that gets them to push through this current CBA and what it looks like.
So do you think that they're trying to pit the lower level guys against the highest paid NFL? And
yes.
Then because the fact that there's more guys being paid the league minimum, or guys on those rookie contracts, they're going to vote because it's going to slightly benefit them, even though they're going to get an Aaron Rodgers, for example, would get paid like a tenth of what he normally makes in Week 10, or Week 17.
No, but they're gonna get rid of that.
So
but but that was the start of it, though,
yeah.
Right? That's the start of it right there. Is that their initial offer was probably intended to do that, and now the guys like Aaron Rodgers, a guy like Russell Wilson, come out and they're like, this isn't good for the league, and they don't really know. The public's not going to really fully understand all of it. They're not going to fully understand the whole picture. So they're going to hear some veterans complaining about it. Then the vote's going to come out, and then they're going to maybe think that the veterans just thought it wasn't good for the rich people. And that could be the narrative that now goes throughout.
What are some of the aspects that the players are going to be trying to push for? I mean, like we hear about, lifetime health insurance. Is there anything else that you can throw out there?
One of the things that I think is most important that isn't even brought up, and I just kind of sat in the NFLPA meeting yesterday, and I wasn't combative or anything like that, which I could have been considering my history of like how I feel about the current CBA, and looking at the first iteration of the CBA and seeing that there is no post year 2 extension available to players. Like Lamar Jackson's going to go into next season. The Ravens know who he is, and they don't have to pay for who he is for another year. And like we're talking about a league where 60% of the NFL's in their first 4 years. You look at the running back position. The running back position is by the middle of this CBA, we're going to get to a point where running back, wide receiver, cornerback, teams are going to understand that these aren't the best investments because they don't age very well, comparatively speaking, to safety, linebacker, the line positions, things like that. And it's going to end up in this scenario where now in 2026 we're going to be talking about the wide receiver market crashing or the cornerback market, being down. I mean, the cornerback market hasn't grown in 5 years.
Why do you think that is exactly? Just because of the fact that they don't age well? Because I mean, we do see as soon as you lose a half a step as a cornerback, you're gone. The guys that are coming in that have that speed are going to run right on by you.
Yeah.
And then the same thing for the running backs. They're sad to say it's my favorite position. Period. But they're a dime a dozen, and the difference between the lowest level running back and the highest running back is a slim margin in comparison to other positions.
Yeah, and you can replace the running back fairly easily. That's a real point that we've seen is that like the studies that we've seen people do about like about the running back being heavily reliant on the offensive line. If you're going to invest your money somewhere, why would you invest your money in running back if it's easily replaceable when you could invest that money in a left guard that you overpaid for because you didn't pay for the running back instead, right? I mean, I'd rather overpay for a left guard than overpay for a running back, right? So, it creates the current the CBA the way it's going without that post year 2 extension. That's the quickest way to get your client, if you're the NFLPA, your members more money, is have that earlier extension because Jason Fitzgerald and I have been talking about it with Over the Cap for the whole CBA, is that like the best team, and that's another thing too, is the team can get a benefit out of extending a guy after 2 years. We saw it with Rob Gronkowski, we saw it with Antonio Brown because they were drafted in 2010, and Rosenhaus worked out a deal for them that was, got them money now, and the teams were happy for it too.
So I'm a little confused. Explain to me the structure of this. So is it basically after 2 years their contract's up on the rookie deal, or is it they're allowed to renegotiate, or they're allowed to start negotiating for an extension?
So currently it's after the 3rd year.
Yeah.
That's why Ezekiel Elliott didn't hold out until this year 4. Mm-hmm. But what I would like to see is the player be able to hold out after going into year 3, and then hold out again going into year 4, and be like, I'm really not going to do it. And then another thing that he'd be like, I'm really not going to play this year, like Le'Veon Bell style, right?
Yeah.
And I want to see it where like a guy could hold out and then get to free agency, but that's not going to happen. I have some radical ideas that aren't going to happen, like an auction draft or something like that. Because when you tell me that Reggie White earned in a civil lawsuit free agency 27 years ago, and here we are in a league where most of the players are on their rookie deals when the only position that can really outweight the franchise tag is quarterback, because all the other positions are like, I don't want to hit free agency at 28, right? If you're Michael Thomas, you can only make so much. And the thing is, the guy at the top of the market also impacts the rest of the market as the rest of the market responds to the market being higher. We've actually seen this kind of across the board since the Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack deals, right?
Yeah.
We saw C.J. Mosley got $17 million a year. Julio Jones got $22 million a year. And then another issue with the CBA is that if you're a veteran player and you hold out, like if Julio Jones were to hold out, you get automatically fined, and there was something about accrued seasons too. So, I mean, there's real concerns, and it's complicated. I think the NFLPA did a decent job on a lot of this stuff, but we were hanging out with my buddy Andre last night, and he's like, what did they win? The NFL got a 17th game, and what did the NFLPA win in return for that 17th game? An extra $100,000 for the league minimum salary guys, which just now puts the players in the position where they're making a reasonable rate again. Like the $100,000 is now just it. It sounds like we're complaining about $100,000, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? A league is about to increase their minimum wage by $100,000. that sounds like a great win, but the cap is going to keep going up. By the time that we're in 2029, we're going to be talking about how cheap, all these rookie contract players are, and the rookie wage scale is still in play. Yeah. So if you're a quarterback that's drafted number 1 overall, you're locked into something that's going to be what,
below market value by the time the influx hits. So
way below market value, So there's concerns with that. But I got the idea yesterday that the NFLPA isn't really all that concerned about the concerns of the agents, and so or really the concerns of anyone but themselves. And they negotiate from a position of weakness. They're afraid of the lockout. Demurra Smith said as much. They're afraid of the lockout, and it's like, and I was equating it to something. So at jiu-jitsu, when I roll with my coach, I just wonder how he's going to kill me. I know he's going to kill me, but I'm like, how is he going to kill me? And I think Demurra Smith kind of goes into negotiations the same way. He's like, we're going to lose, but let's see how long we can last.
Yeah.
Kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See if you can make it to the 10th round at least.
Yeah. Like, let's see.
Take a knee.
Yeah. Like, it's like, yeah. That kind of thing. So it's like.
So, I mean, I know this is probably super far-fetched, but is there any chance that we could see a lockout? And is there any chance that the NFLPA is really going to push to change this franchise tag? Because the franchise tag really, it locks these guys in. It gives them no freedom to hit free agency. Is that something that they're going to push for? I know it's something they've talked about. I know it's something that the NFL players hate. Yeah. But it's probably never going anywhere, right?
Yeah, I have a buddy who interned with someone, and the teams it's like a non-negotiable. They want the franchise tag, which is crazy. Like, why? How is that a non-negotiable? You mean that you get to tell these guys who play college football for free that they make this much money for their first 4 years of their career, and then you get to decide, you get to give them a franchise tag that is, can be like 65% of the cash flow they may have seen if they sign a new deal. Because that big money comes in on that first year of that new deal, right? There's a signing bonus, there might be the roster bonus, there's a salary, all that kind of stuff is included. And we're looking at that first year earnings as like that their biggest earning year. Yeah. And you push that further off into the future, and you've got that's Le'Veon Bell was wrong in not accepting the Steelers, was probably wrong. I never sat down and saw the contract itself, but from what I understand, he was probably wrong not taking the deal the Steelers gave him. But the principle he stood on was a really good principle in letting, in at least making teams think to themselves, this dude really might, like, if they have a guy who's holding out, this dude really might not show up.
Do you think that had a negative effect, though? Because it does look like, especially from, I would say from everybody's view, that he kind of lost that.
He did.
He lost a ton of money. So do you think that's going to have a negative effect on people trying to hold out again? Do you think that basically set that back, 5 to 10 years before somebody else tries to hold out like that?
Because I agree with that point, but it also, from the perspective of the teams, is that if you're like in this window where you think you can win, like the Steelers, right? Imagine if they had Le'Veon Bell that year. Maybe they're a little bit better, whatever. James Conner and Le'Veon Bell, and Ben Roethlisberger last year of AB, like Juju. I mean, is there an offense that would have had more talent? No. Vance McDonald, right? You want the guy on the field, so you run the risk of alienating that player by doing that multiple years. But the teams know they got all the leverage. At almost every position, they've got all the leverage. The only position they don't is quarterback, which is why the quarterback market is growing at such a rate. So simultaneously, the franchise tag is tempering earnings for these non-quarterback positions, and then at the same time, the market that everyone's pushing money into is quarterback, because it's the one where these guys keep playing and they have the most leverage, and they can outweight any tag. They can outweight if you're not offering them what they want, they can wait until they hit free agency. And like a Dak, like what Dak might try and do, right? Or whatever, so
we'll see.
Who knows? But it's a position that has the most leverage, so they're the ones that benefit the most from this current economy.
All right, transition. I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a curveball. There's some teams, the LA Rams. Sorry, Rob. That are cap strapped and have basically put themselves in. They've put their backs up against the wall. They have no cap space. They have no picks. What do teams like that do to be able to recover from possibly a bad trade or possibly just spending all of their money? Do you know if there's a way that the Rams can actually try to recover from that? There's a few teams that have done this to themselves over the last couple of years. Atlanta is another one of them. I think they have I think like some crazy number over 50%, 60% of their cap is in their top 5 guys, and some of those guys aren't even performing. I mean, minus Julio, those guys really aren't getting paid.
That's the real thing with the Rams is you've got yourself Todd Gurley and Todd Gurley, Aaron Donald, and Jared Goff combined to cost like 38% of the salary cap or something.
Yeah, which is insane. Obviously, not how I would build a team.
Right? Would you, Rob? Would
no,
you?
No. Didn't deserve it, but, you know.
No. But like.
Plus, you got Jalen's contract to come now too. So
yes.
About, what, 50% of that.
You've got like, I mean, the thing is these teams put themselves in a position where it's just like they've made their bet. They made the bet they're going to make. The bet is that this core of players is going to lead us to, and the cap, you can maneuver money around, but one of the things with the Rams is that all these guys are in a position where they have a ton of dead money. So how are you gonna maneuver? Are you gonna convert Aaron Donald's money into a signing bonus and kick that down? Because that's really out of those 3 guys, that's the guy I would use to clear some cap space. If they can. I haven't looked at the salary. If he had the big salary, they could convert it into a signing bonus. Then it gets prorated out over the rest of his contract. You don't want to do that with Todd Gurley. You can do it with Goff. And some teams use the quarterback contract as a bank where they continually go back to it and they'll sign him to they'll give him a signing bonus to convert the salary into allowing them to put people around him. Atlanta, for instance, they have some guys they could restructure. I had a radio interview with someone in Atlanta last week where he was talking about, he told me some of the stuff going on the ground, what they've heard of, what do you think about reworking Trufant or something like that? And we found like $16 million that they could put together. But here's the real issue with that is that they've got that $16 million now to maybe go out and re-sign Austin Hooper and maybe go sign a defensive end who, a cheaper guy. But like when you really look at like what these teams are able to put together via the cap and in doing some of these restructures and things like that, is it really going to bring you forward to like being like a Super Bowl caliber team? Probably not.
Yeah.
If your core is Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, and Aaron Donald's fantastic, obviously, but if it's Goff's your quarterback, you're spending 18% of the cap on Jared Goff. You're not in a
good luck.
You're not in a great spot.
Sorry, Rob.
So you have 100%. You have 100% of the salary cap to spend. You can carry over money, but you have 100 percentage points. Essentially, just looking at it, thinking about it from that perspective, and what is your return on that investment? And the teams that are getting the best return on that investment, we see it a lot with rookie contract quarterbacks being one of those major returns.
Yeah.
Those teams do well.
So how many years have you been coming to the combine?
I've been coming since like 12.
Okay.
Yeah, since 2012. Yeah.
All right. So for people that are out here, before I let you go, people that are out here, what are the secrets? What are the secrets to being out here this weekend? Where do you find the people? What's your favorite spot to go to? Give me some inside info for the people that are listening.
St. Elmo's is great if you got that in your budget.
if you
got that in your budget,
$100 plate type of steak.
Yeah. You don't want to go there if you're gonna feel guilty after. It'd be like I just spent $60 on a piece of meat. But like St. Elmo's is cool. The first few times I went out there and like you're sitting next to Mike Mayox at the table over, Tom Condon's over there with David DeCastro, or the year David DeCastro was coming out. You see a who's who of people. You run into the Barstool guys there last year. That's a cool spot. Prime 47's a cool spot. Ran into Sean Payton last year and just wanted to say thank you for wearing the Roger Goodell clown shirt. And I just said thank you and I walked away, and I heard him say to one of his buddies, like, that guy just told me that, so yeah. I left him with a nugget, but yeah, man, it's just being out here. And one of the things I just said to the people at SMWW is the same thing that you guys are doing, is just do something. Like, don't be coming out here looking to just network. Have something that you've been doing, like whatever it is. Like have a project. Be writing for somebody. Because I first started, when I first started coming out here, I came out here with a buddy of mine who was trying to be an agent, and he wanted to give people highlight videos of the players he was representing, like a guy with a mixtape out of his trunk, right? And so like that was my first year out here, and I'm like, every year I make a little bit more progress. And I meet a few more people know who you are, more people know who Blitzalytics is, and then it just works, it works like that, where it's just every year you're going to see that you know more people, you run into more people, you have more meetings, and you just have to be in it and keeping yourself alive and doing something with it to maximize what happens out here, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, we met you here last year.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have this connection, and we now consider you, part of the fam, friend, good friends. So I thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Always, anytime. And I'll see you guys tonight at
SOS Pub.
At SOS
downstairs,
Pub. We'll
right
be downstairs.
on East Georgia Street from 7 to 9 p.m.
And I can promise you I'm going to be a little bit less professional on that podcast.
All of us will be a little bit less professional on that podcast. It's usually our best podcast of the year because the lips are a little loose, the drinks are flowing. So, again, if you guys do get to watch this today, check us out at, I almost said Prime 47. We can't pay for that Prime 47. We'll be there later probably tonight.
That would be a very expensive
SOS Pub. Yeah, you know what's funny about that is that
that'd be so expensive.
In the private area, the VIP area, there was beer pong cup, like red Solo cups up there last year. Like that's what's funny about.
John Elway was there playing beer pong. I'm pretty sure I saw him up there.
Yeah, we won't talk about it. Come find us if you want to hear the details on that one. We can't talk about that here on this one.
If y'all want to go people watching though and really see some people, Prime 47 is crazy. I mean, you'll see. Don't be a weirdo. Just kind of be like, whoa, that's Michael Irvin. I said Irving, like Irving, Texas. But Michael Irvin, there's Sean McVay, there's Kyle Shanahan. It's like it's crazy.
They'll all be there, but yeah, try not to fanboy out. That was the biggest thing for me. The first year especially was learning to not fanboy out, and I was like that giddy little schoolgirl on the inside going, ah! But I kept my composure, and that's what just do. Keep your composure. Go say hi. Shake their hand. Don't be a fan. Just be an individual, network.
If you want to be a schoolgirl, though, I'll support your decision.
Will you?
Yes.
Thank you. What a guy. All right. Again, this is Zack Moore, author of Capinomics and writer for Over the Cap, a website that we use religiously.
Yes.
Blitz out.